60. Conventions not of a permanent society. A convention called only for a specific purpose not involving a permanent organization, or one called to form a state or a national society or a federation, is similar to a mass meeting as described in 53, in that when called to order it has no bylaws or officers. Because it has no bylaws, added difficulty may be encountered in determining who are the properly appointed delegates. The group sponsoring the convention should appoint a convention arrangements committee, as described above, to secure the hall and accommodations for the delegates, make the preliminary arrangements for the convention, and perform the other coordinating and arranging duties assigned to it. Someone designated by the sponsoring group, sometimes the chairman of the convention arrangements committee, calls the meeting to order and presides during any opening exercises and the election of a temporary chairman. The sponsoring group's choice for temporary chairman and the person who is to nominate him should be agreed upon in advance. After the elected temporary chairman has taken the chair, a temporary secretary is elected. Next comes the appointment of the credentials, rules, and program committees, or the ratification of the prior selection of these committees. In a convention of this type, if these committees have not been appointed in advance, all committees should be appointed by the chair. Until the report of the Credentials Committee is adopted, no business other than its adoption or the other parliamentary actions described in this paragraph may be considered, except that any motions related to the consideration of such business or the conduct of the meeting before the report is adopted, as well as those that are in order in the absence of a quorum, 40, 6 through 8, are in order. If the Credentials Committee and other organizing committees were not appointed in advance and are not therefore ready to report, the time they need to prepare their reports is usually spent in listening to talks, perhaps on various phases of the convention's object. Otherwise, the reports of the organizing committees are received in the same manner as that described for organizing a convention of an established association. If a permanent organization is not contemplated, a permanent chairman and secretary can, but need not, be elected at this time, after which the convention proceeds to the business for which it was called together. The principal purpose in electing a temporary chairman first and a permanent chairman later in a convention of this kind is to enable the temporary chairman to preside over the convention while it acts upon any matters related to contested seats, see 5921 and 5924, so that the permanent chairman can be elected by the delegates on the permanent roll of the convention as it is finally determined after all such contests have been resolved. If the convention is called to form a permanent organization, permanent officers are not elected until later, after the adoption of the bylaws, but a resolution should be adopted at this point in the proceedings expressing an intention to form such a permanent association, as in the case of forming a permanent local society, see 54. A set of bylaws should have been carefully drawn up before the meeting of the convention, either by a bylaws committee appointed by the organizing group, with the appointments being ratified by the convention, or by the members of the sponsoring group who thereafter hand them to a bylaws committee appointed at the convention. In the latter case, some of those who drafted the bylaws should be appointed to the committee to avoid delay in reporting them. After adoption of the bylaws, a nominating committee, selected in a manner as close as possible to that prescribed in the bylaws, nominates candidates for office, and those elected to these permanent offices take up their duties immediately, unless some other provision is made.